Hey, I did one of these like a week or so ago. I didn't announce it or promote it. I just popped up. I thought it'd be fun to do that again with a little bit better lighting this time. Anybody have any questions? Oh, a certain smile. Yeah, that's true. I never learned that arrangement, but of course I've listened to it a bunch. And yeah, wow. I would love to take some questions if you have any. If not, I'm glad to just kind of play, and maybe that will lead to some questions. Definitely will lead to some questions for me. Let's see. Any suggestions for growing potential musical seed? John, that's a really good question. Give me a little more information so I know how to focus my answer. In the meantime, when you played Humble Me for Nora Jones, is that in open C? I learned it as best as I can, and I love the guitar on it and your playing in general. So on the original recording on the album of Feels Like Home, that's Kevin Bright playing the guitar in open B, which is same orientation as open E or open D. So it's got a root on the bottom and top, sort of like an E chord shape, but just tuned way down to B. There's a live DVD. I think we're in Amsterdam with Nora, where I played the guitar part. Kevin, I'm trying to think, maybe Kevin wasn't on that tour. And that's in C, and that is in open C tuning, C, G, C, E, G, C. And yeah, that's the tuning from the Live in Amsterdam that I played. On the record, it's a half step down from there, and it's played by Kevin Bright. Can you discuss how you approach solo ideas over progressions? Yeah, if you learned it from Amsterdam, it's in C. A small musical phrase or promising chord progression, how to take it further, fill it out, finish it. Okay, so I'll answer that first, John's question, and then I'll come back to Righteous 2112, which is an awesome handle, by the way. Okay, a small musical phrase or promising chord progression, how to take it further, fill it out, finish it. The tools that anyone has to finish something are all pretty different. So rather than give you a bunch of new tools here, I would say make finishing the number one goal, because that's what's helped me more than anything over the years, is making myself finish it, even if I thought I didn't have the tools, like setting some kind of deadline where whatever the thing is, I actually had to bring it out into the harsh light of day. As long as I'm just working on it on my own, it could wind up just being an unfinished idea for a long time. So I'm not sure that it's always about having new tools as much as it's just about making yourself, scrap it out. I mean, I don't mean scrap it like throw it away, but just be scrappy and inventive with whatever tools you have. That said, let me see if I can give you an example from my own life. So I was kind of hinting at this piece, although I was playing it in a different key. This is this raggy thing that I tried to write last year. I wrote it, but I was working on it for a while. Let's see. And that's all I had, John. I just had that little thing. And I thought, I'm not playing it exactly right. Something like that. So that's just 8 bars of music. It was just a little scrap. There's a melody, it's a chord progression. So how I started to develop it was, I thought, well, what kind of thing is this? And it's kind of a ragtimey thing, like if Scott Joplin was crossed with, Blind Blake or something, because it's guitar. So I started to think about, well, what would be a typical form for a rag. And so I thought, well, I could repeat the A section because that would be pretty typical in that style to, if you have 8 bars, play them again, maybe with a slight variation. So I made the next 8 bars basically the same, but I took it down an octave. I'm kind of paraphrasing the thing that I wrote. But basically what I did was I took it down an octave. Now that's not the way that a lot of people would compose. Generally, pieces are supposed to get more dynamic and exciting as they go on. I did something kind of the reverse of that, which is the first 8 I had in this 8 bars, and then the second 8 I took it down an octave. Let's see. I can't remember what it is, but basically, yeah, I took it down an octave. And then again, I thought, well, what style is this in? What would typically happen in that style? So a lot of what I think about is form. And you can study form by taking whatever kind of music you're into and studying the forms that the great composers in whatever style that is have used. So, you know, if a piece has 2 elements, like an A section and a B section, this piece has, I think, 3 or 4 sections, but so far I've just played the 2 A's. You know, if it's A and B, then some choices might be A, B, and that's your form. You could think like verse, chorus, verse, chorus. It could be A, verse, verse, chorus. It could be A, B, which is another kind of typical style. So I look at form. I also look at overall register. Like if I write one section in a certain register, I'll try to take it to another register for the other section so they're more offset. I really look at how the pieces dovetail together. So as I'm writing something, I'm not just trying to write forwards, but if I get stuck, I might actually just skip ahead to a whole new section, try to write something that's a whole new section. And then from this other piece that's unfinished, since now I know where I'm going because I've got this other section, it may be easier to actually write backwards because now I've got to arrive at a particular melody note or a particular chord or a particular register or something. So that's another thing that's helped me get unstuck. Also, taking a walk can be really useful. Okay, so that was all in a long answer to John Michael Walsom's question. I hope that was useful. Let me know. Let me know if some of that stuff works for you. Can you approach how? This is from Righteous 2112. Can you discuss how you approach solo ideas over progressions, major and minor? Yeah. Well, if you're talking about playing over progressions, in my mind, just because of my own experience, the little bubble that I'm in, that feels like a jazzy kind of question. So I'm thinking about jazzy chords. You might be thinking more in a rock vein. I don't know. But if you've got chord progressions, it's some kind of music that has chord progressions. I guess lots of music has chord progressions. So I'm going to talk about it not from jazzy chords, because I'm guessing not everyone here is a full-time jazz person. But you know, I've talked about this before, but I'll mention it again here. I sometimes think about vertical playing, and I sometimes think about horizontal playing, and that's not in relation to the movements on the guitar, but vertical meaning like if the chord is C minor, then I think about what are the notes in a C minor chord. And so any of those that I hit while the chord is C minor, I think of that as vertical playing. Even if I step into them, I'm just kind of sidestepping into the notes of the chord, but I'm really thinking about what are the notes of that chord. I think of that as vertical playing, because if you could imagine like a chord being written on a staff, a music staff, it's a stack of notes, it's vertical. So if you're trying to intersect some of those notes, I think of that as vertical playing. Then there's just, playing horizontally, which is just playing melody. I found myself actually still playing kind of vertical, but just imagining other chord changes. A good example of horizontal would be the blues. That's like, typical phrasing ideas that you play in the blues. If you were recording that at a recording session and the engineer muted everything but the guitar solo, there'd be no real indication there of what the chords are happening behind you. You're just kind of playing over the top. When you're just cruising over the top, I think of that as horizontal playing. Neither one is better, neither one is worse, but I think I try to mix them up. If I play too much chord tone stuff, it can fall flat to me. So if I'm just like arpeggiating the chords, let's say the chords are C minor, G minor, D minor. So if I just arpeggiate the chords, I'm not really commenting. Part of our job when we're soloing is to comment on the harmony, not just to outline it. And hopefully there's other people in the band that are marking the harmony for us. So what we can do is more colorful. Now, if you want to get into something maybe a little more interesting than that, you might try thinking about triads as they relate to these chords. So if the chord is C minor, I don't want to play C minor over that. I want to play something that's maybe slightly more colorful. So I might play E flat. So that's a major third above the C minor. And I also might play F. And there I was just kind of jumping back and forth between E flat ideas and F ideas, and I ended on a C to bring the root back. The idea there is, if you think about modes, parent scales, like in C minor, if I'm thinking C Dorian, then the parent scale is B flat, right? B flat is the parent scale of C Dorian. I think of the 4 and the 5 chord, the triads, the 4 and 5 triad of the parent scale. It's a lot of math. Hopefully you can memorize these so you're not actually thinking about all this stuff while you're jamming. But I find that to be pretty useful as a sound. That's the Dorian. If I'm playing, Mixolydian, like G7, the parent scale of G Mixolydian is C major. So the 4 and 5 triad are F and G. So I might play off of that. Those are techniques. I mean, on a good day, ideas are coming to you, and you're not thinking about any of this kind of stuff. But I always find it helpful to have some strategies on tap for those moments when you need to play something and nothing's really coming to you from that magic place where we don't think at all. These are just some strategies. Otherwise, I just think of, basically how to get the chord tones to connect. So if I'm going from C to A minor, I might think this is the third of C, and I want to get to the third of A minor because those are strong chord tones. So how can I connect those? third of that. So, yeah, a low third of it, I think, is going to sound better. And then now let's say the next chord is G. You could go to the third of G. It starts to get a little predictable after a while, so you might try to pick a more colorful note on the G chord. So maybe I'll play the sixth, which sounds like that. If you play all thirds, it starts to sound like an exercise, and I don't think we want to do that. So you can mix it up, but it's about finding artful ways to connect things and always trying to think ahead, think of where you're going rather than just what the chord is at hand. Okay. What can cause harmonic buzz? My action is fine, but my G string on my telly gives a super high ringing buzz at certain frets. Wow. Yeah, Christian. I would bring it to a tech. It could be, it could be a physical thing with the guitar, like frets. It could just be that you need to put a fresh string on there. But if it's doing that consistently with new strings and old strings on the G string, then yeah, it could be a fret buzz thing. It could be something with your pickup. You never know. I had a weird thing with a Telecaster years ago where the neck pickup, there were certain notes, harmonic notes that were just, you couldn't hear them at all. So you'd be playing and playing, and then certain notes just weren't heard. There was some kind of weird sympathetic note suck thing, and so I wound up having that pickup rewound. So yeah, I wish I had a good answer for you, but that's my answer. Go take it to a professional if you can. I love these parallels into classical composition. I wonder if you use any classical composition techniques to create a single line melody. Harmony is often discussed, but writing a good melody, that's tricky. It's more interesting to strip down harmony for the voice, so no worries. Like basic 1, 4, 5 minor progression, that's hidden in more complex. Yeah, right. That's cool. Well, I mean, to answer your question about writing melodies, it is tricky to write melodies. Transcribe melodies. A lot of times when we say transcribe, people think that automatically means you're going to learn, a full-length solo or something like that off of a record. Yeah, that's what transcribing often is. It's learning somebody's improvised solo and figuring out how to play it on the guitar. But transcribe melodies. Listen to stuff that's melodic to you, whether it's classical or something else, and don't just go buy a book with the melodies in it already. Like, actually transcribe them, whatever that means to you. If you like to write stuff out, write it out. As long as you can play it on the guitar, I think that's the main thing. There's a lot of mystery around melody, and I find that sometimes it's so mysterious that I get afraid to just look it in the eye and see what, make eye contact with the melody. And so what that means is taking something that you enjoy, something that you find melodic or, like that, and really learning it, studying that. It could be Chopin or Brahms or whomever. When you say classical, it could mean a lot of different things, but I like Chopin and Brahms a lot. Learn their melodies, get them under your fingers. Sing along when you listen to those things, and just make that a priority when you're practicing. If you practice like we need to do some of that work to get our fingers going. But if that's all you practice, and then you hope that melody is just going to happen on its own, then you'll probably be waiting a long time. Just make melody the main focus of what you're thinking about for a whole month or longer. Write melody on the side of your guitar with, put a sticky note on it, or put a sticky note on your computer, or wherever you happen to look a lot when you're working on music, and just think about melody, 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 melody. And if you find yourself doing anything other than melody, stop and try to recalibrate. And just, so much of getting good at one thing is eliminating other things. So if you're trying to play chord tones and technical stuff and all that, then it's pretty hard to, you have to make time for melody. Now, I said you might not want to do this too much because that's more of a technical thing, but I do think sequences can be helpful when you're talking about melody. So maybe just a much slower sequence, and something that isn't just 1, 2, 3, 4, but something that already has some shape to it, like, so in C, that's 5, 1, 3, 6, 5, and then you could continue that. Yeah, something like that. So take something that feels melodic to you and make a sequence out of that. And don't just hammer away at it, but really take the time to make it musical. Okay, gosh. Did you learn new jazz standard? Do you learn or used to learn? This is Rodrigo Pedrosa wonders, do you learn jazz standards in all 12 keys, or did you used to? Also, hi, Van Lau from India. Nice. Yeah. When I'm working on a jazz standard now, I'll play it in at least 5 keys. I may not get to all 12 keys, but that's maybe just laziness. Once you've got to 5 keys, the next 7 aren't going to be that difficult. I usually start with trying to learn jazz standards in 5 kind of open keys, like, not in B flat or E flat, or like the keys that they might be in the real book, but more just trying to make them guitar friendly. So I'll play a little bit of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and I'll just play the chords. So that's in C, and then I'll do it in G. And I'll do it in A and D and E. So I'm trying to get it in guitar-friendly keys. I find that's really useful to really feel how the harmony works on the guitar. If I do it in a key like B flat or E flat, then it's usually more closed down. And you still have to do that, because if you're really trying to learn the song, of course the flat keys are important too. I'm into open guitar stuff, so I try to do that. And of course, there's open strings that could work in flat keys. Let's see. So you can still use open strings in flat keys, but I try to do those open keys first, and then melody-wise, you should definitely learn the melody in all 12 keys. Most of which you'll never ever have to play, but it's not about being prepared for some hypothetical gig where you're going to have to play Somewhere Over the Rainbow in F sharp. It's just more, to me anyway, the work that you have to do to figure it out is the part that's valuable. It's not that you practice it in all 12 keys, but you're not trying to prepare it to be an on-stage performance in all 12 keys. You're more, to me anyway, you're just practicing the melody so that you really, really know it and can get around in different registers and just hear intervals wherever you are. So here it is in F. I'll just stop there. So it's an octave, and then down a half step, down a major third, up a whole step up a half step. So you need to be able to do that in any key on whatever string you happen to start on. Or and so on. That's what's important to me, is like, if I can hear something, can I access it wherever I happen to lay my finger for the starting note? Can I reach an octave from there? Can I come down a half step from there? And practicing one tune in 12 keys. Thanks for the reminder. I need to do that more than I do. Lately, I've been just trying to do it in these open keys because I overlooked that part of the guitar for too long. Michael Miller, what was your process in the studio writing the gorgeous solos for Come Away With Me? Michael, I wish I could tell you, honestly, at the time, I had no idea that was going to go on to be, a record that people would be listening to and talking about 20 years later. I was in the studio just trying to do a good job, probably thinking about chord tones, because that's just where my head was at then, and still is to some extent now. So like that's the third of C. So I'm kind of really accenting, not the third of each chord so much, but like the third of the key. There it is again. So that's on the G chord. So I'm really just outlining a G chord. There's the third again. I lean on the E from this low E to this E to this E, because it's the third of the key and it's really pretty. The solo starts low, kind of goes high, and then works its way down. So in retrospect, I could say what I was thinking was start low, go high, and work it back down to have a smooth transition when the vocal comes back in. I was really just you know, flying by the seat of my pants or whatever, just trying to do a good job. Now, when I look at it, I can see that there's some architecture to it. But honestly, I don't know that I was thinking about the architecture, the shape of it, that much on that day when I played that solo. I do think it's a really important thing to think about. But what particular headspace I was in that day, I'm not sure. Um, any tips on getting stuck? I'm trying to learn a new piece and a chord change is consistently tripping me up. Paul, can you tell me more? What's the piece and what's the chord change? Are you not hearing it? Is it a physical thing that's hard to get at? Tell me more. Picking stone. Make time for melody would be a great concept for a new music course. Maybe I'll do that. Rodrigo, God, interesting approach. Thanks. Andy Wilson, very nice guitar. Is it Parlor? Yeah, this is a Waterloo. The model is WLS Deluxe. WLS Deluxe. Here you can see it in there. I don't know what exactly technically makes a Parlor guitar, but this is small. It's smaller than a triple O or a double O. It may be single O size. Also, it's 12. It's connects at the 12th fret. That seems parlory to me. A guitar that's a 12 fret guitar instead of a 14 fret guitar. So small body, check. 12 fret, check. Slotted headstock, bonus. Yeah, I like parlor guitars. They're easy to play. They're comfortable. I'm a very average-sized person. I'm 5'9", so I'm not a big person or a small person. This is I can play this all day, and I don't get tired from trying to reach all the way around this big guitar. I do have an OM that I love, but around the house I tend to play this, and I have an old Stella that's almost exactly the same size as this. Nick Hamilton just got the standard WLS. Wonderful guitar, totally beguiling tone. Man, Nick, I'm with you. Yeah, these are really special guitars. This guitar was great when I got it a few years ago, and it just has gotten better. It's opened up. People always talk about how guitars open up, and this one really has. I've had it for 3 or 4 years. I've traveled a lot with it, played it a lot, and it just gets better and doesn't sound like anything else. When I record with it, it's got a particular sound. Stephen Glick says, could I play for you? Okay, well, I'm a little out of practice with it, but I'll do my best. Oh, sorry, Roshu. I'll come back to you. Sorry about that. So I'm not going to skip Roshu's question anymore. Roshu says, any tips for understanding and remembering chord progressions of songs? Hey, Roshu, tell me more. Are you talking about jazz songs? Are you talking about Beatles songs? Are you like, tell me a little bit more, because I might think about it differently depending on what kind of song it is. In the meantime, really quick, Andy Wilson, no, I really have not learned exotic scales. I know the kind of scales that you learn in jazz school, modes, melodic minor, harmonic minor, stuff like that. I'm intrigued by exotic scales, but I've not done the work, so I can't add anything about that. Okay, Beatles song. Roshu, if you're trying to remember, how do you remember or analyze a Beatles song? The first thing that I think you need to get, even before you worry about what the chords are, is the form. And I know I talked about form earlier. Maybe it's obvious to everybody, but I find with a lot of my students, it's not obvious. So I'm going to assume that it's not obvious to everyone then. So if I'm trying to memorize songs, let's say a Beatles song, I would first try to map out the form, which I'm trying to think of. I mean, there's so many Beatles songs. I can't think of one off the top of my head that I want to focus on. Also, because I might pick one that you know or don't know or whatever. But think about one that you like, and make a roadmap on paper of just like intro, verse 1, chorus 1, verse 2, chorus 2, instrumental based on the verse or based on something else. Maybe there's a bridge, whatever it is. I would try to map out that whole thing on paper, and then as soon as you can, ball up that paper, throw it away, and try to have that map really clear in your mind. You can skip the paper step, but I find that it is helpful for me to actually do it on paper, make the movement, see the map, and then burn it. Once I have the map, then the chord progression usually is a little easier for me to remember, because I start to see which elements are repetitive. I'm not thinking of it as, oh man, what chord is this? Like, I know what chord it is because it just happened 8 measures ago or 16 measures ago or something. So you look for where there's repetition. Also, learn the melody really well. Like if you're a singer or not, it doesn't matter, but learn to sing the song. If you're trying to learn the chords, it's a lot easier if you can actually sing the song, because that tells you where you are. You might also want to learn to sing the bass line, and with the Beatles, that's easy because Paul McCartney's bass lines are always really melodic and clear. So as much as you can, try to get the song in your body, in your imagination, sing it, see the map of it. The chords, at least for me, and I know everyone's brain is a little bit different, but for me, the chords kind of take care of themselves if I understand those other elements: melody, bass line, song form. After that, it all kind of takes care of itself. And then just, if you're trying to learn a song, another thing I found helpful, put the guitar down and just listen to the song maybe 5 times in a row. Don't worry about what your fingers have to do just yet. Make sure that you saturate your brain with the song so that inside your mind, it's always really clear. And if you then have to be away from the music, like if you're listening on your iPhone, the battery died or whatever, it wouldn't matter because you already have a very clear, I would say picture, but a recording in your mind. Until you have that, you're really trying to memorize it, I think, in the wrong way, like chord by chord, and that's not, I don't think, how our memories work. At least it's not how mine works. Could you tell us more about your song "A Promise to California"? It can be about the lyrics or about the harmony. Um, that's a song where I was in a phase where I was writing a lot of songs. I was trying to write a song a year for a song a week, song a week for a whole year, and so I had to move quickly. I couldn't afford to get writer's block. So in order to avoid writer's block, I was always borrowing elements from wherever I could. So I borrowed the title of Promise to California from Walt Whitman. It's the title of a Walt Whitman poem. I like Walt Whitman. Um, the harmony is very much stolen from Ry Cooder's song Boomer's Story. I think it's Boomer's Story. I'm going to say it's Boomer's Story. Some really early Cooder record. I really love those early Ry Cooder records from the early 70s. And I even used a Ry Cooder tuning. I put it in open G and played in D. That's a very Cooder thing. So like I'm in G, but the song I really play in D. So instead of this being the home bass chord, this is the home bass chord. And then a capo with the second fret, so that puts it in E. So now my guitar is, you can say, in A, but I play in E. I was a pioneer, panic for gold. Sorry. I was a pioneer, panic for gold. I was a young man, 25 years old. I left my family back in Texas, and I headed for the West. I never knew what fortune was before. And now that was the verse. That's all to me very early 70s Ry Cooder. Sorry, I was having a hard time getting her into today. Like he uses this kind of stuff on Tatler and lots of stuff from that era, like tuning in G but playing in D. This Mark Knopfler also uses this thing. Something like that. So that's the same kind of idea, like the open chord is the 4 chord. So anyway, when I got to the bridge, I wanted to go somewhere different. So I went to the flat 7 just because I needed a change of scenery. So soon as I crossed that state line, heard the harmony in the line. I don't even know what these chords are. I just heard this bass line go. So soon as I crossed that state line. So if we're thinking that we're in D, and I know we're in E because the capo, but if we're thinking in D, that's C, E minor, walking up, and then now this would be B minor, walking down to the 4 chord, quick change to the 3, and then again to the 6 minor, walking down. E minor 2. I made a promise to California. I made a promise to California. And I never remember. Is that right? Echoes of the canyons in the Santa Ana wind. In the crash of the Pacific. In the car behind the woods. I made a promise big flat wood. Yeah, and then that's the chorus, and there's a bridge. I go to the 5 because we haven't really started any of the sections on that. Verse starts on 1, chorus starts on flat 7. How do I go someplace new? I went to the 5. It's an obvious place to go, but I haven't gone there yet. So many people never leave their hometown. But they'll never see the sign up in the hills. Hills. They will never, that's the flat 7 again. Never know the sunset melting through the haze. I guess if that's C, that's G over B, C, G over B. And then this would be B flat over, what is it? B flat with A in the bass. If you're thinking key of D, so it would be like going to the 5 chord, but putting the sharp 5 triad above the 5 bass. Never know the sunset melting through the haze of another picture perfect postcard day. My fingers just fell there, and I thought, that's so weird. I'll just keep it. So that's what it is. It was a little bit of Ry Cooder, a little bit of Walt Whitman, and then a little bit of some of the strategy stuff that I was talking about earlier. It's like, where have I been? Where have I not been? What part of this key can I explore that I haven't explored yet? What part of my vocal register can I explore? The lyrics, I don't remember writing, so I can't say that much about. I just remember I had the title, and maybe I started with that first line. I was a pioneer panning for gold. And then gold seemed to rhyme with old. I was a young man, 25 years old. I left my family back in Texas, and I headed for the West. I never knew what fortune was before. So I guess I was thinking about like the gold rush, you know? But a lot of times I start writing and I don't even know where I'm going. I just start with the title and try to get loose and just free write for a while. Just try to open my mind. Yeah. Please do more of these AMAs. This was a nice surprise for an otherwise stressful day. Take care. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. How to start building a repertoire. Pedro, do you mean a repertoire of original songs or a repertoire of other people's songs? Andy Wilson, do you love flamenco music? No, I mean I don't not love it, but that's just one of those things that there's only so many hours in the day, and flamenco music is one of those things I just haven't gotten around to listening to. Whenever I've heard it, I've always thought it was incredible. So, yeah, I have great respect for the music and the players and the singers and the dancers. But I wouldn't say that I love it. Like if you looked at my record collection, I don't have any flamenco in it. But it's incredible music, of course. Okay, Pedro, how would you go about building a repertoire? Forwards and backwards. Start with one song that you love. Start with one song that you feel like you could play that at every single concert you ever play. Just a song that you think you never get tired of, and start there. And then think of what might be a good mood right after that song. So play that song and then feel what kind of mood it puts you in, and think about, do you want to sustain that mood? Are you ready for a different kind of mood? If you want to sustain the mood, what's a song that would help sustain that mood? So you're like putting a set together, really, I think, as much as a repertoire. Like try to get 10 songs. That might be a set of music that you play, and really have some shape to it. If you just only focus on your favorite songs of all time, you might find that they're a little bit too much the same. Like you might really love ballads, or you might really love fast songs, and when you're going to perform, and I assume you're going to perform because when you say repertoire, that has to do with the songs that you're going to go out in the world and play. Um, think about how they could live together, like you're making a set list or you're making a sequence for a record or something like that. So when I say work forwards and backwards, think about what you want to do next, and then maybe think about what the end of your set is, the end of your show or the end of your record, and pick a song that you want to close out with, something that you feel like is a really strong closer, and then again work kind of backwards from there. What would be a good mood right before that? That's, I think, a good way to think of repertoire in terms of how it's actually going to function in a show or on a record. If you're writing original music, then you're going to have to write the songs that set the mood that you want to set. I think that's cool. A lot of times people ask me about how I wrote a song, and they want to get into the nitty gritty of songwriting, but sometimes it's really just coming from a place of, I need to write a fast song. I played a show last night and I noticed I just have too many slow, sad songs. So I need to write a fast song. So I might write a fast song, even if I'm not, not really wanting to write a fast song, but it just might be what I need. I notice when I play a show that that's what I need. I saw an interview with Blake Mills where he talked about his song, I forget the exact title, but I think it's called If I'm Unworthy, or What If I'm Unworthy? And he basically said he wrote that song because he had gotten asked to play one of Clapton's Crossroads festival shows, and most of Blake's songs before that were kind of more introspective. And he realized, like, if he's going to get on stage at something like the Crossroads Festival, he has to have a song that is really energetic from the get-go, because that's what that needs. So part of repertoire is finding things that you love and that speak to you, but part of repertoire is also thinking about what is it for? Is it for a show? Is it for a record? And if it's for a show, what does a show need? If it's for a record, what does a record need? Andy Wilson, do you have a favorite piece for classical guitar? No, I don't. But generally, I really like Francisco Tárrega. He's a really brilliant writer and writes for the guitar. He really writes for the guitar. Like, it's not just piano music adapted for the guitar, but he uses open strings and writes in keys that make the guitar really sound good. So over the years, I've studied some of his pieces, but I don't have any under my fingers right now. I'm going to answer one more question. I have to get to standard tuning. Sure, Pedro. Stephen Koivula. Sure, I'm butchering that. Says, tell me anything about the song Very Tall. Well, I'll play it because some of you might know it. Very Tall is an instrumental tune of mine. It goes like this. 1, 2, 3. 3, 4. guys haven't heard that, I recorded it on a record that I did with Rich Henman called Verses. And I wrote it. I was listening a lot at that time to this record of the Oscar Peterson Trio with Milt Jackson as a special guest. And it's so swinging. I mean, the Oscar Peterson Trio is super swinging on their own. And then Milt Jackson is just the greatest. He's a vibraphonist, if you don't know. Oscar Peterson was a pianist. Milt Jackson was a vibraphonist in jazz, and incredibly swinging. So that record that they made together was called Very Tall. But there wasn't a song on it called Very Tall. And I thought that was kind of funny. So I wrote a song called Very Tall and tried to write a song in that style. I think on that record they might do I've Been Working on the Railroad. And so my song Very Tall is very much modeled on the harmony of that. And then I divert from that here, but I assume since everybody's from all over the world here, you might not know this song. It's just an American folk song. So there's another section. Anyway, it was based on that tune and very much inspired by that record. If you don't know that record, check it out. It's so swinging. It's incredible. I know I said that before, but it really is. I said I was going to stop. Okay, one more question, and then I'll really stop. Pedro Cabrera says, what is the best way to start learning a song? Best way to start learning a song is put your guitar down and listen to the song a whole lot. Yeah, I kind of said this before, so I'll keep this really short. But yeah, I think the best way to learn a song is not with your guitar in your hand, but to try to learn the song in the same way that a non-musician would learn it. Think of it as your new favorite song and just listen to it over and over again like a fan of music more than as a guitar player. If you can get the music to live in your mind, in your brain, where in the same place where your favorite songs live, then I think you're halfway there. If you just like are trying to learn to like listen to a song once and learn it, that's a whole other skill. And I don't even know if I could address it because I see people do it and it's amazing. I can't really do that. I mean, I guess you could just practice listening to music that you don't know, put on a Spotify playlist or a Pandora station or the radio or whatever, and just, spend a half hour playing along with songs you've never heard before and see how well you do. But if you're talking about like if you have to memorize a song for a gig or a rehearsal or a set recording session or whatever, that's different. So I'll address that, which is memorize the song without your guitar. Sing the melody, sing the bass line, have a map of the song in your mind. Once you get there, the rest of it will start to take care of itself, unless it's something that has a very technical, difficult guitar aspect to it. If you're just talking about a song, learn the song and then get into the nitty-gritty of the guitar stuff. Kind of overlay that onto this beautiful map that you've already made. Okay, I'm going to stop now. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and asking great questions and follow-up questions. I really appreciate it. I'm going to try to do these on a more regular basis. I don't have a schedule in mind, but just when I can, when I have a quiet day, I'll open up a window here and get to it. You might know I have a channel here on YouTube called Guitar Tips. There's I don't know, there must be nearly 200 videos here on this channel. I also have a subscription channel, Guitar Tips Pro, over on Patreon. You can get there directly at guitartipspro.com. You can sign up for $10 a month or more if you want more extra stuff, but that's the basic thing of it. Lots of videos there, lots of me teaching, lots of guest artists teaching, other cool stuff, playlists and things. It's cool. If you haven't checked it out, check that out, please. It's guitartipspro.com. Okay, I'll be back sometime soon, and I'll see you then. Stay tuned. Take good care. Oh yeah, click on the bell. Click on the bell. Thanks, Stephen. Click on the bell, everybody. Yes.